Good day, ma'am. I am Maria Isabel M. Cañete, and I am here to report the Module 3. So the topics to be discussed is institutional agencies in the Philippines, Code of Calintao, Bureau of Corrections, 7 institutional corrections, provincial jail system, and Public Attorney's Office or PAO. So institutional agency of Philippines, concise history of the Bureau of Corrections. The main penitentiary was the Old Bilibid prison in Oroqueta Street, Manila, which was established in 1847 pursuant to Section 1708 of the Revised Administrative Code. It was formally opened by a royal decree in 1865. So institutional agency of the Philippines, first is the Department of Justice. Enforces federal laws, seeks just punishment for the guilty, and ensures the fair and impartial administration of justice. So the functions of Department of Justice. Upholding the rule of law in the Philippines, it is government's principal law agency serving as its legal counsel and prosecution arm. So about 4 years later, on August 21, 1869, the San Ramon Prison and Penal Farm in Zamboanga City was established to confine Muslim rebels and recalcitrant political prisoners opposed to the Spanish rule. So when the Americans took over in the 1990s, the Bureau of Prisons was created under the Reorganization Act of 1905, Act number 1407 dated November 1, 1905, as an agency under the Department of Commerce and Police. The San Ramon Prison in 1907 was destroyed during the Spanish-American War. On January 1, 1915, the San Ramon Prison was placed under the auspices of the Bureau of Prisons and started receiving prisoners from Mindanao. So before the reconstruction of San Ramon Prison, the Americans established in 1904 the Luhit Penal Settlement, now Ihawig Prison and Penal Farm, on a vast reservation of 28,072 hectares. It would reach an aggregate total land area of 40,000 hectares in the late 1950s. So the area was expanded to 41,007 hectares by virtue of Executive Order number 67 issued by the Governor Newton Gilbert on October 15, 1912. So other penal colonies were established during the American regime. On November 27, 1929, the Correctional Institution for Women, or CIW, was created under the Act number 3579, while Davao Penal Colony in southern Mindanao was opened in 1932 under Act number 3732. So owing to the increasing number of committals to the Old Bilibid Prison in Manila, the new Bilibid Prison was established in 1935 in a southern suburb of Muntinlupa, Rizal. The old prison was transformed into a receiving center as a storage facility for farm produce coming from the colonies. It is presently abandoned and under the jurisdiction of the Public Estates Authority. So after the American regime, 2 more penal institutions were established. These were Sablayan Prison and Penal Farm in Occidental Mindoro under Proclamation number 72 issued on September 26, 1954, and later Regional Prison under Proclamation number 1101 issued on January 16, 1973. So the Bureau of Prison was renamed Bureau of Corrections under the new Administrative Code of 1987 issued on November 23, 1987. and Proclamation number 495 of the President. It is one of the attached agencies under the supervision and control of the Department of Justice. So programs under the Department of Justice. First is the Child Protection Program, the DOJ Action Center, Interagency Council Against Trafficking, Justice System Infrastructure Program. So the first is Child Protection Program. Republic Act 7610, Special Protection of Children Against Child Abuse, Exploitation and Discrimination Act. An act providing for stronger deterrence and special protection against the following unlawful activities for child, providing for its violation and other purposes. So second is the Department of Justice Action Center. Acts on complaints, requests for legal assistance, and queries of walk-in clients as well over telephone. Any caller can talk to a lawyer or paralegal officer who can render him assistance. Third is Interagency Council Against Trafficking, or IACAT, serve as the coordinating and monitoring mechanism on all anti-human trafficking efforts of the government. And last is the Justice System Infrastructure Program. Justice System directed through Administrative Order Number 99 that a program be undertaken for the construction and rehabilitation of the court, buildings, and offices of the prosecutor, public attorney, probation, and parole. So other institutions under the Department of Justice is Office of the President, Department of Foreign Affairs or DFA, Department of Environment and Natural Resources, DNR, Department of Agrarian Reform or DAR, Department of Labor and Employment, DOLE, and Department of National Defense or the DND. So first is the Office of the President. The President is the head of the government and functions as the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Philippines. The President controls over all the executive departments, bureaus, and offices. So the Office of the President is responsible for the annual budget, headquarters, website, represent our nation in talks with foreign countries, call out troops to protect our nation against attack, make suggestions about things that should be new laws, talk directly to the people about the problems, represents the best interest in the people. So what a president cannot do. So the president cannot make laws, declare war, decide how federal money will be spent, choose cabinet members or Supreme Court justices without Senate approval. So under the office of the president are the following: Commission on Election, COMELEC, Metropolitan Manila Development Authority, the MMDA, the Housing Urban Development Coordinating Council, or HUDCC, Board of Liquidators, BOL, National Commission on Indigenous People, NCIP. So second is the Department of Foreign Affairs, or DFA, advises and assists the president in planning, organizing, directing, coordinating, integrating, and evaluating the total national effort in the field of foreign relations in pursuit of its constitutional mandate. So third is the Department of Environment and Natural Resources. It is responsible for the conservation and management and development of the country's environment and natural resources. It ensures the proper use of this resource and protect of the environment. So the priority of the DNR is to enhance the national greening programs, the Manila Bay rehabilitation, forest protection, and anti-illegal logging program, clean air, water, soil, solid waste management, and scaling of coastal and submarine ecosystem. So fourth is the Department of Agrarian Reform, the DAR. The Department of Agrarian Reform leads the implementation of the Comprehensive Agrarian Reform Program, or the CARP, through the 10-year program improvement, agrarian justice, and coordinated delivery of essential support services. So who qualifies the agrarian reform beneficiaries? So first is the farmers who are landless or who own less than 3 hectares of agricultural lands. Second is Filipino citizens, residents of the barangay. And last is the municipality if there are enough qualified beneficiaries in the barangay where the land holding is located. So 5 is Department of Labor and Employment, or DOLE. It promotes gainful employment opportunities to develop human resources, protect workers and promote their welfare, and maintain industrial peace. So benefits of DOLE is medical benefit for sickness or injuries, disability benefit, death funeral benefits, and pension benefits. So why is DOLE important? DOLE's purpose is to empower gainful employment, develop human resource, safeguard and promote the welfare of workers, and maintain industrial harmony. Some of the key functions and responsibilities of the DOLE are to promote social and economic welfare of workers and to regulate labor and employment conditions. Number 6. Department of National Defense. It has to guard the country against the external and internal threats to national peace and security and to provide support for social and economical development. So what are the agencies under the Department of National Defense? It exercises executive supervision over the armed forces of the Philippines, the government arsenal, the Office of Civil Defense, the Philippine Veterans Affairs Office, and the National Defense College of the Philippines. So the DND includes the following forces: Armed Forces of the Philippines. The Armed Forces of the Philippines are the Army Forces of the Philippines, and it consists of 3 main services: the branches of the Army, the Air Force, and the Navy. So first is the Philippine Army. The Philippine Army is the main and largest branch of the Armed Forces of the Philippines, responsible for ground warfare. As of 2021, an estimated strength of 101,000 soldiers backed by 100,000 ready reserves. The service branch was established on December 21, 1935 as the Philippine Commonwealth Army. Next is the Philippine Air Force, or the PAF. The Philippine Air Force began as the Philippine Army Air Corps, the PAC. It was officially established as a separate branch of the Armed Forces of the Philippines on July 1, 1947, through Executive Order No. 94, 1947, under the administration of President Manuel A. Rojas. Next is the Philippine Navy. The Philippine Navy organizes, trains, deploys, and maintains forces for the prompt and sustained naval and maritime operations in support of the United Commands in the accomplishment of the AFP mission. So the Philippine Navy is the naval warfare service branch in the Armed Forces of the Philippines. It has an estimated strength of 24,500 active service personnel, including the 8,300 strong Philippine Marine Corps. It operates 82 combat vessels, 14 auxiliary vessels, 25 manned aircraft, and 8 unmanned aerial vehicles. So next is the National Disaster Coordinating Council, Office of Civil Defense. The National Disaster Risk Reduction and Management Council, or the NDRRMC, formerly known as the National Disaster Coordinating Council or the NDCC. It is a working group of various government, non-government, civil sector and private sector organizations of the government of the Philippines established by the Republic Act 10121 of 2010. So the NDRMC plans and leads the guiding activities in the field of communication, warning signals, emergency, transportation, evacuation, rescue, engineering, health and rehabilitation, public education and auxiliary services such as firefighting and the police in the country. So Philippine Marine Corps. The Philippine Marine Corps is the Marine Corps of the Philippines, a naval infantry force under the command of the Philippine Navy. So it is specialized in sea, air, and land operations, like its counterpart in the Naval Special Operations Command of the Philippine Navy, ranging from reconnaissance, close combat, demolition, intelligence, and underwater operations in support to the overall naval operations. So 7. Department of Trade and Industry. It is responsible for realizing the country's goal of globally and competitive and innovative industry and services sector that contribute to exclusive growth and employment generation, and also the issue against the online sellers and DTI permit and suggested prices. Number 8. So the Department of the Interior and Local Government or the DILG. It formulates planned policies programs to enhance local autonomy, focusing particularly on the administrative, technical, and fiscal capacities. So the DILG is the executive department of the Philippine government responsible for promoting peace and order, ensuring public safety and strengthening local government capability aimed towards the effective delivery of basic services to the citizenry. So the department of the DILG includes the following: the Bureau of Fire, Bureau of Jail Management and Penology, National Police Commission, and the Philippine National Police. So the Bureau of Fire is the government body in the Philippines responsible provision of fire service. Next is the Bureau of Jail Management and Penology. The Bureau of Jail Management and Penology is an attached agency of the Department of the Interior and Local Government mandated to direct, supervise, and control the administration and operation of all district, city, and municipal jails in the Philippines, with prompt tasks of safekeeping and development of its inmates, officially classed as person deprived of liberty or the PDL. So the National Police Commission or the NAPOLCOM is an attached agency of the Department of the Interior and Local Government responsible for the administration and control of the Philippine National Police. It has the authority to administer police entrance examination, to investigate police anomalies and irregularities, and to summarily dismiss erring police officers. So next is the Philippine National Police. So the Philippine National Police is the armed national police force in the Philippines. Its national headquarters is located at the Camp Crame in Bagong Lipunan ng Crame, Quezon City. Currently, it has approximately 220,000 personnel to police a population in excess of 100 million. So questions. What does the PNP do? The PNP shall enforce the law, prevent and control crimes, maintain peace and order, and ensure public safety and internal security with the active support of the community. Number two, what is PNP organizational structure? The PNP organizational structure is composed of the national offices, regional offices, provincial offices, district offices in case of large provinces, and city and municipal stations. Number 9. Department of Social Welfare and Development, or the DSWD, is mandated by the law to develop, administer, and implement comprehensive social welfare programs designed to uplift the living conditions and empower the disadvantaged children, persons with disabilities, families in crisis, and at risk. So the purpose of DSWD is preservation or restoration of the health of the people through the provision of delivery of health services through the regulation and encouragement of providers of health goods and services, protection of children, PWDs, women's, and poor, promotion of services. So they promote the services. So the advocacy of the DSWD is this affirms the advocacy for the protection of the rights of the children, including those who are part of the entertainment industry. The DSWD is committed to pursue its mandate to ensure the protection and promotion of the rights and welfare of children everywhere. So programs and services of DSWD. First is the Pantawid Pamilyang Pilipino Program, Kalahi CIDSS, or Kapit Bisig Laban sa Kahirapan, Comprehensive Integrated Delivery of Social Services. Listahan, or the National Household Targeting System, o System for Poverty Reduction. And last is Supplementary Food Program. Number 10. So the National Bureau of Investigation, or the NBI, undertake the efficient detection and investigate of crimes and other offenses against the law of the Philippines upon this own initiative and as a public interest may require, renders technical assistance upon request in the investigation and detection of crimes. So question, can NBI mandated to investigate drug operation? Yes. It also provides the PNP and the PNP shall jointly evaluate the government anti-illegal drug operations and where necessary, determine possible criminal liability on the part of the police officers involved in the operations. So types of investigation. First is forming hypothesis, asking question, testing the hypothesis, pattern seeking, drawing conclusions, and searching. The National Bureau of Investigation mandated to investigate onto the following cases: extrajudicial or extra-legal killings by state security forces against media practitioners or activists, murder or justices and judge, violations of the Cybercrime Prevention Act of 2012, cases from the Interagency Anti-Graft Coordinating Council, or IAAGCC. So cybercrime offenses first is cyber squatting, refers to the unauthorized registration and use of internet domain names that are identical or similar to trademarks, service marks, company names, or personal names. So like they're using the identity of other brands or names or persons. Cybersex occurs with the person either trades, distributes, purchases, downloads, or interacts with others to send or receive child pornography or to solicit sex with another person. Number 3. Child pornography is a form of child sexual exploitation. Federal law defines child pornography as any visual depiction of of sexually explicit conduct involving a minor, person less than 18 years old. So the common cases like this is child pornography, the foreigner using the child, especially in here in Philippines, they're using the child in pornography to show their clients in other countries in to share their even though they are still in 18 below. So identity theft is the crime of obtaining the personal of financial information of another person to use their identity to commit fraud, such as making unauthorized transaction or purchases. So lots of cases is the staffa that they scam they scam another person using another name or using dummy accounts in the Facebook. Number 5, illegal access to the data and libel. When committed intentionally, the access to the whole or any part of a computer system without right, often referred to as hacking or computer trespass. Illegal access may result in damage to computer systems and data or compromise of confidential data. So cases from the interagency anti-graft is manda- mandated to the uphold integrity and accountability in the public service. It gained official recognition through Administrative Order Number 7 dated July 28, 1999. So question, who handles graft and corruption cases of government officials? So the answer is the Sandigan Bayan. So the Republic Act of 8249, February 5, 1997, further defined the jurisdiction of the Sandigan Bayan, amending for the purpose of PD 1606. The Sandigan Bayan tries and decides criminal and civil cases against government officials, employees who accused of graft and corruption and similar other offenses. So next is the Code of Kalantiao was a supposed legal code in the epic history Maragtas that is said to have written in 1433 by Dato Kalantiao, a chief on the island of Negros in the Philippines. So the Code of Raha Kalantiao was supposed legal code in the epic history Maragtas that is said to have been written in 1433 by Dato Kalantiao, a chief on the island of the Negros in the Philippines. The code is now believed by many historians to have been a hoax, that it had actually been written in 1913 by Jose E. So the Code of Kalantiao in relation to criminology, the most intensive and severe law that prescribe harsh punishments. This code contains 18 articles only, but enough to maintain peace and harmony before the Spanish colonizers. Article 1 is you shall not kill, neither shall you steal, neither shall you do harm to the aged, lest you incur the danger of death. All those who infringe this order shall be condemned to death by being drowned in the river or in boiling water. Second is you shall obey. So let all your debts with the headman be met punctually. He who does not obey shall receive for the first time 100 lashes. If the debt is large, he shall be condemned to thrust his hand in boiling water thrice. For the second time, he shall be beaten to death. Article 3. Obey you. Let no one have women that are very young nor more than he can support, nor be given to excessive lust. He does not comply with, obey, and observe this order shall be condemned to swim for 3 hours for the first time, and for the second time to be beaten to death with sharp thorns. So Article 4. Observe and obey. So let no one disturb the quiet of the graves when passing by the caves and trees where they are. Give respect to them. He who does not observe this shall be killed by ants or beaten by death with thorns. 5. Article 5. You shall obey. Who exchange for food, let it be always done in accordance with his words. He who does not comply shall be beaten for an hour. He who repeats the offense shall be exposed for 1 day among ants. Article 6. You shall be obliged to revenge sites that are held in respect, such as those trees of recognized worth and other sites. He who fails to comply shall pay with 1 month's work in gold or in honey. Article 7. This shall be put to death. He who kills trees of venerable appearance, who shoot arrows at night at the old men and women, he who enters the houses of the headmen without permission, he who kills a shark or strikes a cayman. Article 8. Slavery for a dome, a certain period of time, shall be suffered by those who steal away the women of the headmen, by him who keeps ill-tempered dogs that bite the headman, by him who burns the fields of another. So all of the articles has a condition. If you don't obey all the condition, they all have punishment. And all the punishment is the limit only 2 offenses or more. I know 2 to 3 offenses, and in that, if you repeat it in 3 times, you will be beaten to death, or you will be fed to the sharks and the caimans. So the Bureau of Corrections is the agency of the Department of Justice, which is charged with the custody and rehabilitation of national offenders who have been sentenced to 3 years of imprisonment or more. So the agency has its headquarters in the NBP in Muntinlupa. So question, what is the purpose of the Bureau of Corrections? So the Bureau of Corrections is the rehabilitation of all national prisoners. The Bureau carries out the following tasks to carry out its mandate: confine persons convicted by the courts to serve a sentence in national prisons. It keeps the prisoners from committing crimes while in custody. So court stages under correctional system. So first is the arraignment. Arraignment is a hearing. It is where the court formally charges the person who abused with a crime. So question, will you go to the jail during arraignment? So the answer is you do not go to the jail at arraignment. An arraignment is just the opportunity for you to hear what the charges against you are, and for you to respond legally to those charges with a plea of guilty, not guilty, or no contest. After the arraignment, you have preliminary hearing, where, as mentioned, the judge decides whether there's enough evidence to even bother moving your case forward to a trial. An arraignment is not actually a preliminary hearing, which is a special type of hearing used in criminal court. An official preliminary hearing is when preliminary examination of any evidence against you is presented to the judge. The judge then decides whether the evidence is adequate enough to stand trials. Second, what does arraignment mean? An arraignment means a formal reading of criminal charges in front of the defendant or person charged with those criminal actions, so the defendant knows that what crimes they are accused of and can respond to the accusations. So during arraignment, the judge formally states the charges against the defendant if bail has not been yet set in the case, it will be addressed at arraignment. So arraignment includes plea and plea bargaining. So what is plea? A formal statement by or on behalf of defendant or prisoner stating guilt or innocent response to a charge, offering an allegation of fact, or claiming that a point of law should apply. The plea bargaining is an agreement or negotiation between the prosecutor and defendant whereby the defendant is permitted to plead guilty to a reduced charge. So pre-trial agreement. All agreements or admission made or entered during the pre-trial conference shall be reduced in writing and signed by the accused, and counsel be used against the accused. So pre-trial order is an order issued by the court upon the termination of pre-trial. It shall indicate that the case shall be submitted for summary judgment on the pleadings without need of position, papers, or memoranda. So pre-trial. So before transferring the case to a trial court, a judge in the lower court reviews the complainant, the compliant, and determines whether there are legal grounds to support the arrest under which the defendant is being held in custody. So question, is pre-trial mandatory in all criminal cases? Yes, it is mandatory in all criminal cases cognizable by the Sandigan Bayan, RTC, MTC's municipal trial courts. So what happens during the pre-trial? The defense attorney meets the prosecutor and the judge. The attorney discusses the strengths and weaknesses of their cases, explore plea bargaining possibilities, and discuss evidence that needs to be exchanged before it can be presented at the trial. So the trial. The act of trying, testing, or putting to the proof. Test proof, an attempt or effort to do something. It is tentative or experimental action in order to certain result. The state or position of a person or a thing being tried or tested probation. So types of trial. The civil trial. Resolve civil actions which are brought to enforce, redress, or protect private rights. Criminal trial. To shed light on the circumstances surrounding a crime. Juvenile trial. The tribunal having special authority to pass judgments for crimes that are committed by children who have not attained the age of majority. So the juvenile trial is for the children who is still not 18 years old and they already commit crime. So Justice Department is the mission of the Office of the Attorney General is to supervise and direct the administration and operation of the Department of Justice, including the Federal Law Investigation, Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms and Explosives, Bureau of Prisons, Office of Justice Program. So Philippine court system. First is the Supreme Court, has both original and appellate jurisdiction. It exercises original jurisdiction over cases affecting ambassadors, other public ministers and consuls, and over petition for certiorari, prohibition, mandamus, and habeas corpus. The Court of Appeal is considered as the highest tribunal in the country, and it was established on February 1, 1936 by virtue of Commonwealth Act Number 3. So it composed of one presiding justice and 68 associate justices, all of which are appointed by the President from a short list submitted by the Judicial and Bar Council. So, Sandigan Bayan. Both in 1973 and 1887, Constitution contained provision on the present anti-graft court known as the Sandigan Bayan. So it has jurisdiction over criminal and civil cases involving graft and corruption committed by the public officers or inside the government. The Sharia Court. A Sharia district court is limited jurisdiction. It was created under Presidential Decree number 1083. So under the administrative supervision of the Supreme Court or the Philippines deals with Muslim customary and personal laws including criminal law. So the Sharia court is for the Muslim people or the Filipino Muslims in Mindanao. So the justice system includes the probation and parole. Is an attached agency of the Department of Justice which provides a less costly alternative to imprison of offenders who are likely to respond to individualized community-based treatment programs. So what is probation? It allows a person convicted of a crime the chance to remain in the community instead of going jail. So this is the time they will pay for the probation so that even though they have cases, they can be still in the community serving their family. So requisites of applying probation: those who sentenced to a maximum imprisonment of 6 years, avoid the conviction of any offense against national security, those previously convicted an offense and punished by imprisonment if of not less than 1 month and 1 day, or a fine of not less than 200 pesos. Those who haven't been applied probation. Those already serving sentence at the time the probation law became applicable. So the provisions or supervision. A probation plan is based on thorough analysis of the offender's background and needs. It also avoids recidivism or reiteration. So question, who grants probation? Probation is a privilege granted by the court to a person convicted of a criminal offense to remain in the community instead of actually going to prison jail. So number 2, who cannot be convicted for a term or release probation? Generally, those sentenced to a term of imprisonment of 1 year or less, or to a straight penalty, or to a prison sentence without minimum term of imprisonment. Number 3, can the offender be released while his application for probation is pending? Yes, the application may be released under the bail he filed in the criminal case or under unrecognized sons. So parole. So the parole is a form of early release of a prison inmate where the prison agrees to abide by certain behavioral conditions, including checking in with their designated parole officers, or else they may be rearrested and returned to a prison. To receive parole, inmate will be given a chance for conditional freedom for a prison. The prisoner gets out from the behind bars but must live up to a series of responsibilities. So question, is a parole a right or a privilege? So parole amounts to the right which can be enforced by the prisoner against the prison administration, or whether it is merely a privilege awarded to. So benefits of parole: it reduces prison and jail population. So it reduces the overcrowding in the prisons. It reduces taxpayer expenses. rewards those who are willing to work for it. And the negative effects of parole is it allows criminal to start committing crime again. It can be difficult to find work on parole, prone to be kinds of repetition. So they are prone to repeat the crime or another crime. So the seven institutional corrections. First is the New Bilibid prison, located in Muntinlupa, Metro Manila, in the main insular penitentiary designed to house the the prison population of the Philippines. Second is the San Ramon Prison and Penal Farm. It is considered as the oldest penal facility in the country. Prisoners were required to agricultural works, and their products are the following: corn, rice, livestock, and papaya, and more. So San Ramon Prison and Penal Farm is located in Zamboanga City. Founded by Captain Ramon Blanco of the Spanish Royal Army, it was established for the confinement of Muslims and political offenders. Established on August 21, 1869, the oldest correctional facility in the country, has an area of 1,246 hectares with the principal product copra. Secondary product is the rice, corn, coffee, cattle, and livestock. So number 3, Ihawig Penal Colony. It was established during the American occupation. However, during the Spanish regime, the Puerto Princesa was designated as a place where offenders sentenced to banishment were exiled. Ihawig Penal Colony is the finest prison and penal farm in the country. So these are their vocational activities in Ihawig Penal Colony. Number 4, Correctional Institution for Women. Is a women's prison located in Mandaluyong, Metro Manila, Philippines. The prison is operated by the Bureau of Corrections, open on a 18-hectare property on February 14, 1943. So number 5, the Davao Penal Colony is the first penal settlement and founded and organized under Filipino administration. The settlements, which originally had an area of approximately 30,000 hectares in the districts of Panabo and Tagum, Davao del Norte, was formally established on January 21, 1932 by virtue of Act number 3732, and it was the largest prison and penal farm. So these are the products in Davao Prison and Penal Farm. Number 6, Sablayan Prison and Penal Farm. So the Sablayan is located in Occidental Mindoro and relatively new. Established on September 27, 1954 by virtue of Presidential Proclamation number 72, the penal colony has a total land area of approximately 16,190 hectares. So as of November 2021, about 126 inmates in the Sablayan Prison and Penal Farm in the Philippines used to be farmers or gardeners. So number 7 is Leyte Regional Prison. The Leyte Regional Prison was created by the virtue of Presidential Decree number 28 and was established on January 16, 1973 under Presidential Decree number 1101, situated in Abuyog, Southern Leyte. So LRP has an inmate capacity of 500. It follows the same agricultural agricultural format as the main correctional program in addition to some rehabilitation activities. So Public Attorney's Office or the PAO. The PAO shall provide legal service free of charge to indigent persons or to the immediate member of their family in all civil, criminal labor, criminal, labor administrative, and other quasi-judicial cases, where after due evaluation it is determined that the interest of justice will be served thereby. So question, can can PAO handle for annulment? So the answer is it is not cheap to marry, and it's certainly not cheap to have that marriage declared void. If you are an indigent, the public attorney's office can handle your case. So these are the grounds for annulment. So question again, what are the difference of annulment and divorce? Annulment is a legal ruling that erases a marriage by declaring the marriage null and void, that the union was never legally valid. However, even the marriage records remain on file. So the other way to end marriage is to apply for an annulment, which results in the marriage being declared void, and therefore as it never happened or voidable, whereby it exists until it is annulled, provide certain criteria applies. So divorce is the common way to end marriage, whereby one spouse is required to prove that their marriage has irretrievably broken down by the demonstrating of 5 reasons, also known as facts. These are adultery, unreasonable behavior, desertion, you have been separated for at least 2 years or until 5 years. Hopefully, in the very near future, this will be added mutual consent, commonly referred to as no-fault divorce. So the divorce process can only be instigated after the first year of marriage. So, can a person remarry after an annulment? Yes, absolutely. You can get married once you obtain the decree of absolute nullity or the decree of annulment of marriage. Those who have gotten the civil annulment must produce the following: the court order decision, certificate of finality of decision, amended marriage contract with an annotation of the civil annulment. So question, is the Philippines considered divorced? According to the announcement, the Philippines and the Vatican are currently only two sovereign states in the world that still prohibited divorce. A divorce can be recognized in the Philippines only if one spouse is a foreign national, or when both spouses are already foreign nationals at the time the divorce became final. Any one of the spouses can now file petition for recognition of divorce.